2021 CC Live Awards.
Let's bring this thing back, right? So last week on Thursday, we brought you your nominees. And this week, we're going to tell you exactly what each of these categories are real quick before we share with you who was crowned these award winners. So, of course, our first category is the digital asset category. Your nominees were Dogecoin, USDC, Spell Token, a la Magical Internet Money, and of course, Olympus DAO. Now, we did ask you in your voting to give us some of your own nominees. So here are a few honorable mentions that came up during our voting process online. Also, before we get there, for those of you that voted, thank you so much for helping us to make this CC Live Awards special. We do really appreciate you taking the time to fill out that voting form. And in fact, you did make a difference.
Yes, you did.
That, of course, is going to be shown to you first here because who won the digital asset category? Anybody have guesses or any front runners that you think may have come into the lead here?
You know,
Well, I know
uh,
the answer, so I'm not going to
I,
speak
I
to it.
I also know the answer, but man, I really thought just with all the hype, it might have been Doge, but here we go.
Yeah, look, I had high hopes for Magical Internet Money, but we were stunned to see that a dark horse emerged out of the shadows, and that, of course, is Hedera Hashgraph taking 53% of the recorded votes in this category. Um,
Congrats, Shadera.
Yeah.
Congratulations, Hedera Hashgraph. You are officially the digital asset of the year here at the Cryptocurrent Live Awards. Guys, any quick thoughts on Hedera as we move forward?
Hedera's really, really cool. Talked to Dr. Lehman Barrett earlier in the year. It was a really great interview. Made me a believer in the future of just data storage and how it's going to basically take over the next decade. So, again, I think it's really cool, and they have a lot of really good partnerships in the works right now. So, not surprised.
It's great stuff. Well, look, Hedera community, hash graphickers, if you will, we will let you know that your award is in the mail and may in fact be turned into an NFT at some point in the near future. So you may be able to claim it as a POAP on the blockchain here shortly. But let's move on to the next category. And this category, of course, was the utility token category. Now, to qualify for the utility token category, Chris, we set out some really specific guidelines. Can you recap that for us real quick?
Yeah, so just to give a little background, the digital asset category, the idea behind that was looking for a coin or a cryptocurrency that inherently is supposed to be a store of value, right? Like a Bitcoin or a Doge, the point is to, well, use it, spend it, and transact with it. Utility tokens, on the other hand, are different, right? The idea here was looking at coins and currencies that holding them is, of course you can transact with them, but the idea there is that you can also use them to actually operate on the blockchain. So for example, with Solana, you can use Solana to actually buy NFTs or, send information along the blockchain. And that's the key difference. Whereas digital assets were supposed to be stores of value, utility tokens are actually used to interact with that blockchain.
Perfect. And of course, as we already started leaning in, your utility token nominees that we gave you were not meant to be the tokens that you would normally think of, right? We intentionally left out Ethereum, right? Because if we just left it in, it was going to be a slam dunk. So we went with some of the ones that are more innovative in the category and also, of course, left it open to your write in nominees and honorable mentions. So those that were already nominated were, of course, Solana, Thorchain, Polygon, and Chainlink. But we had nominations as well for Hedera Hashgraph, who turned out in force, Ripple, aka XRP, Polkadot, and Jigstack. So a lot of really great candidates here, but one showed through strongest. Guys, before we reveal who took home utility token of the year, did you guys have a favorite in this category? Rich, I'll start with you.
Man, mine honestly was going to be between Solana and Thorchain, with Solana just inking through just because I've used it and seen how freaking awesome and fast it is. But it's had a lot of hiccups of late. It's broken down twice, and so we'll see how they bounce back from it.
Yep, and you can say the same thing with Thorchain. It had 2 hacks.
Yep.
So, a lot of different thoughts come to mind on that one as to why those 2 could have things working against it. But Chris, did you have any thoughts on Polygon, Chainlink, or any of our other write-ins?
Yeah, so Polygon is actually what I voted for, mainly just because you turned me on to it, Steve. It's an awesome project, and I'd say a little unique even compared to the other, initial nominees that we had. And that's why I really liked it. I think it has a lot of cool applications that are still kind of working in theory now, but I think, even a year from now, you're going to see that change completely, and that's why I really liked it. I think it's going to have a major impact in this upcoming cycle and even upcoming year.
Yeah, I have to agree with you on Polygon. I think if I'm looking back at this properly, I believe I voted for Polygon as well. But that being said, let's jump into who ended up taking it away. And if we have a little drum roll from the crowd, it was actually Polygon, and
Hey.
I was quite surprised by this actually because not only we had so many votes for Hedera, but 16.7% of the recorded votes went to Polygon. I was kind of surprised at one thing in particular, and Rich, you may actually join me in this surprise. Of all of the votes, Thorchain did not receive one.
Wow. Probably
Um,
the hacks, man. The hacks probably did him in.
it had to have, right? I mean, it's too novel of a project for it not to get a single vote, at least in my opinion. But then again, I didn't vote for it. So, look, that's going to round out utility token. I just thought I'd share that unique little note with you. But let's dive into non fungibles, right? NFTs have been a hot talking point this past year. And you've, of course, seen a handful of these nominees in the narrative. You have Art Blocks and Super Rare, Pixel Vault, which is known for MetaHero universe identities and even their the Pixel Vault Founders DAO token. Then, of course, you had Neo Tokyo bursting onto the scene. And then Kevin Smith released the Jay and Silent Bob's Smoking Tokens in line with the upcoming release of Clerks 3. But the community had more to say. They had 4 write in nominees that kind of started to show out. You had Immortals, you had Bored Ape Yacht Club, V Friends, and even Bull Market Girlfriends, who's a good friend of the show. So, guys, this is a really unique setup. So I'm curious if you guys had favorites in the category or if you think that one likely just pulled ahead. So Chris, I'll start in reverse. What did you think?
So my personal favorite was actually Neo Tokyo. I thought, after looking into it a lot more, the way that they did their launch was unlike anything else we've seen in the space. So that was a huge positive for me. But since their launch, right, a lot of the partnerships they've done, kind of weaving their way into pop culture, has just been incredible. And I've personally voted for Neo Tokyo just because it's just so different and unique compared to the rest of these, I think, and that's why I just loved it. Um, but curious to see what you have to say, Richard.
Yeah, man. R blocks is I think pretty massive in the sense of like how much just artistic value that they're bringing. And I'm sure I stole Steven's pick, but I'll let him expand on it. But like the other two that I think would have been cool if we like had on list, and I'm glad they were written in, was just the Board 8 Yacht Club and Be Friends. Man, like what Board 8 Yacht's been able to accomplish this year is pretty remarkable. And the community that they're building is a really cool model that I think a lot of people are going to copy. And then V Friends, just Gary Vaynerchuk is just freaking genius as it relates to marketing and creating value for people. So, I mean, I think those are two solid projects as well. So I wouldn't be surprised if one of those two won. Is
Yeah. And look, I think that when I look at the write-ins, again, I want to emphasize this. It's not that we didn't mean to nominate the people that were written in earlier. Of course, like, we would have immediately said Board Ape Yacht Club and V Friends should be amongst the initial nominees, but they were a slam dunk. Like, if we put them in there, it would have been like a 75% turnout on vote. Just because, again, you don't initially see the names that are really innovating in the space. Not that V Friends and Board Ape are not innovating in the space, but they are seen as the forerunners. So Quick tip of the cap to VFriends. I just saw the lineup for VCon yesterday, and it made me really consider spending 8 Ethereum to go and get a VFriend. That to me on its own is kind of gross because I could never conceptualize spending 8 Ethereum for anything. But in terms of who we have nominated here, I will tell you like for sure, Art Blocks has a very special place in my heart, but I need to point out what Super Rare is doing because in the same way that Art Blocks is providing a platform for generative artists that is unlike any other platform out there, Super Rare is providing a platform for one of one art. And that to me is tremendous because, again, both of these platforms are providing a new way for artists to get compensated for their work that they were never able to get before. It used to be a massive labor for artists to get paid. And now we're starting to actually give them new pathways to monetization. So both platforms are great. And I think we should run into revealing the winner. So your winner for the 2021 CC Live Award for non-fungible token of the year is Art Blocks. Art Blocks had 21% of the recorded votes this year. And we are thrilled to say that we will be having this award in the mail to you soon, recorded on the blockchain. Guys, any final thoughts on Art Blocks before we move forward?
If you don't know much about it, go research it. They're doing some really, really cool stuff in the space.
Definitely. They just actually released the sneak peek at the first Art Blocks curated drop for the year. I highly recommend that you go check it out. It is going to be unbelievable. So let's carry this thing forward onto our next category, the certified shitcoin of the year. This is a category that we were very proud of around here at Cryptocurrent because we know that there are plenty of degen plays out there, but none are grosser than the certified shitcoins of the year. Your nominees were, of course, SafeMoon. Sorry, nearly puked a little bit. Shiba Inu, Dogelon Mars, and crowd favorite, Come Rocket. There were, of course, write-in nominees and honorable mentions that you are probably very familiar with. You have Dogecoin, Mongoose Coin, favorite of Brad Sherman in the U.S. House of Representatives, Ethereum, which Chris loves, and Cardano, which everyone who loves Ethereum loves. So, guys, taking a look at this, what do you think of our write-ins and what you see on screen?
I think it's hilarious that Ethereum and Cardano are on this list just with the market caps that they have. But hey, I mean, Shiba Inu has an amazing market cap too. So here we are. I really, of all of these, I really just think about like which one was meant to be like absolutely a meme coin and kind of got rugged. So for that, I went with Dogelon Mars. Like legitimately, it's Dogecoin, but Elon Musk and talking about Mars. Like someone like literally just woke up one day, said, "Here's an idea. Let's put it together and put it on a coin," and it made a lot of people a lot of money. And then when it crashed, it made lost a lot of people a lot of money. So like that's my pick.
Chris, what do you think?
So I actually went for Shiba Inu just because of one of the crypto moments of the year. I realized that in the vein of making people a lot of money on something that is inherently worthless, Shiba Inu kind of takes the cake there, and we will obviously get into more of that later. But the reality is all of these are shit coins, and honestly, I'm a little bummed that I didn't write in Ethereum or Cardano because that's pretty funny, and I don't disagree too much. Also, because it riles Steve up a little, and that's always fun, isn't it?
I mean, look, it always makes my week whenever I get to the point where like I start seeing red. But I'm trying to find the actual name of it because I can't seem to recall it off the top of my head, and I'm gonna just give up on it. But I really wanted Safe Moon to win this. Like I really did. It is based off of it was a hard fork slash copy of a project that came out in like 2017 that was just horribly written. I mean, the code behind it was god awful. The crew behind SafeMoon practically rebranded it, rolled it out, and even got the likes of the head of Barstool to endorse it. Then, of course, you had a massive expose done by the team over at BitBoy Crypto that ripped it to shreds and basically pointed out every single exploit that still exists in the protocol. If you want to call something a shitcoin, that to me qualifies is a project that is explicitly there to steal your money. So hats off to you, Safe Moon. But of course, we have one winner, not 8. And your winner for certified shitcoin of the year here at the CC Live Awards is Shiba Inu, taking 42% of the recorded vote. That on its own is pretty remarkable, in my opinion. Guys, any final thoughts on Shiba Inu?
You know, as much as it was meant to be a meme coin, it's just made a lot of people money. So, I don't know. I'm just gonna leave it. I don't know.
Just you know what? Just wait until we get to the moment of the year.
That's for sure. I mean, again, guys, look, Shiba Inu led the way in being a shitcoin that is now being used for something. There
Yeah.
are others that followed the same exact model. UFO Gaming was originally a shitcoin that was taken over by its community and repurposed into something that is now meaningful. That doesn't mean you can't rise out of the shit and kind of be the poo phoenix, but that's kind of the analogy I'm going to go with on this one. But let's move into our next category before I start making terrible, terrible analogies that will leave most of our audience baffled. Our next category is the debut of the year, otherwise known as the new kid on the block. We had 4 nominees for this. We had ENS, which is the Ethereum name service, basically domains on the blockchain to get you an easier way to remember an Ethereum address. You had Superfarm from the team over at Elio Trades. You have Mina Protocol, which is the smallest blockchain in existence in terms of the overall size that it takes to load the chain. And then Tom Brady's Autograph.io, arguably the leading NFT platform for sports collectibles right now. Other write-in nominees in the new kid on the block category included Mongoose Coin. You can't have a category without Mongoose Coin, in my opinion. Wonderland Time, Immutable X, and Genie.xyz, who just today announced their official visual brand identity rebrand. I got to tell you guys, if you haven't heard of Genie XYZ, please go look that up. That is going to likely end up being the future of aggregated purchasing of NFTs. I am really, really impressed with their tech. I've seen people sweep specific project floors using it. It's really, really legit. But outside of my opinions about write-in nominees, what do you guys think about what we had on the new kid on the block, or is there any that you think needed to be included that weren't?
Yeah. So honestly, my my initial reaction to the nominees we had was, ENS is a no-brainer. Super Farm also no-brainer. Mina's compression is really cool, and I knew nothing about Autograph. Steve, you told me about Autograph, and then I did some digging, and I was blown away by everything they've done. It's actually just incredible. The level of access and kind of just everything with the project is so incredible. Like the level of it, I guess, right? Like you have super high quality with everything they're doing. They're bringing in top people from all across sports and entertainment, and I was just floored by Autograph. That being said, ENS obviously is an incredible project. The name drop alone, I think we guessed it would be about a $10,000 average name drop or airdrop, right, Steve?
Yeah, I mean, look, the fact that their airdrop came out as hard hitting as it did, still has a lot of people scratching their head, wondering what is going on in the world. But Richard, what do you think about the nominees? Were there any that stood out?
For me, ENS and autographs stood out, but a write-in uh, really stuck out for me, and that's the Wonderland. And we've talked about it on the show a couple times. Um, Wonderland is a wonderful place if you can get in, and I don't think it's what they're producing right now. I don't know if it's going to be there forever, but while it's there, it's pretty sick. So yeah, that was one that caught my attention, but ultimately, I think ENS potentially could run away with this one.
Yeah, I what I will say is this, is that I think that if this award show happened maybe 2 to 3 weeks later, Super Farm would have run away with it. Because right now Super Farm is on the precipice of rolling out what have been told is an actual legitimate competitor to OpenSea, that is operating specifically utilizing Immutable X's protocol. So you kind of have a two for here in the new kid on the block category. But your winner for the new kid on the black block of the year for the 2021 CC Live Awards is, in a runaway, ENS, recording 27.5% of the votes. Look, guys, this one to me was a no brainer. I want to make sure that we, again, are giving all of our nominees the credit they deserve for being in this category. But when you come out hitting the way that ENS did with their airdrop, and also like not just like having an airdrop, but having one of the easiest to use governance systems I've ever encountered, makes all sorts of sense as to why they are respected as they are in the industry right now, but also why they ran away with this one. Any other thoughts you guys have on what's going on over at ENS?
Wish I would have bought one. I think I had a chance and just said, "Nah, this can't be that special." And again, just a reminder that everything we say on here is not financial advice, but also another reminder that sometimes when you have some conviction and you hear things in multiple times, and people are like, "Hey, you should check this out." You should probably check it out. So if you ever hear us say something like multiple times on this show, it's probably worth checking out.
Yep. Totally agree with you on that one. The one thing I will add on ENS is, guys, just because the airdrop already happened doesn't mean that you shouldn't go and try and pick up your own ENS domain. .eth domains make transacting on Ethereum a lot easier. So please do yourself that favor. And again, that's not financial advice, because again, buying an ENS domain has nothing to do with finance. It just has to do with, it's really, really cool to have to link that up to your own wallet. So let's move into what honestly should probably be at the end of the show, right? This is the project of the year. Project of the year is like, if you go to the Grammys, like typically you're going to see the album of the year as the very final award. But we decided to put this in the middle because, frankly, we're too excited. We want to get there, right? We want to be able to feature the projects that are dope. So, right now, your project of the year nominees were Avalanche, Helium, OpenSea, Axie Infinity, Yuga Labs, the team behind Bored Ape Yacht Club, and 4 write-in nominees: Hedera Hashgraph, NFT.com, Artifact, who was just acquired by Nike, and The Sandbox. Guys, like, this year has been huge for crypto. Okay, no joke there. Like, we're all very aware. All of these projects did some insane stuff this year. NFT.com clearly had a lot of support behind it. Hedera came in really hard. But you have just an insane amount of progress in Helium that Chris talks about every week. You had a lot of stuff going on Avalanche that people have a ton of respect for. The volume happening on OpenSea, Axie Infinity breaking records on records on records and creating microeconomies. Um, there's so much to be said of all of these nominees. So, what is one thing that you would say about your favorite, Rich?
Again, all of these are gems and could all in their own right be the project of the year. The one that just like my pick that I personally went for on this one was Helium, just because what they're setting out to accomplish is pretty remarkable, and the fact that they're rolling it out as quickly as they have, and we're not even well, like I'll get to price action as the final thing, but like they are creating their own network, essentially low RAN network that eventually elevate. They're gonna help build out 5G network. They're gonna build out low RAN network. They're gonna eventually allow people to like use the data for like very comprehensive stuff. You can mine this stuff. Like I got in over a year ago, back when it was under $1. It got to an all time high of $50. Like there's just so much cool, awesome things happening in the Helium ecosystem that like it just stands out way too much for me. And not to, again, the rest of these projects have done amazing. They've made a lot of people in their own rights, depending on which why you're looking at this as a project of the year, whether it's monetary, whether it's um, for the overall good of the ecosystem, or whether it's for community. Each one has their own valid way. I think Helium checks all the boxes, and that's why I'm going with that.
Chris, tell me a little bit about your number 2 pick because we already know you voted for Helium.
Yep. Yeah, for pretty much every reason Richard gave, I voted for Helium. And for first time listeners, go watch some of our old content. I try to weave in as much Helium as I can because I am in love with the project. But my number 2 pick, honestly, probably would have been Yuga Labs, the creators behind Bored Ape Yacht Club. Reason being that either they or just the NFT slash crypto community in general found a way to make, I'd say, one of the more fringe, originally fringe cases of crypto and NFTs mainstream, and mainstream to a level that I don't think anyone saw coming. Where, crypto punks obviously kind of included in that, but I'd say just the way that you see all these major public figures, celebrities, athletes, however you want to talk about someone, all of them just essentially fighting with each other to have a picture of a cartoon monkey as their Twitter profile is incredible. And just that level of integration with pop culture, mainstream media has done, wonders, right? At the end of the day, people are going to kind of complain about NFT this, NFT that, or I can save your image. But the reality is it's now part of the conversation. And because you have these, idols people looking up to, fully backing it and wanting them, it more normalizes it. And I think it's accelerating crypto adoption to a level that we didn't expect for a few years.
Yeah, I would have to agree. I think that honestly, Yuga Labs to me was an easy pick, but I ended up going with Avalanche as my own personal vote. There's no blockchain doing what they're doing. The logic and the methodology that they're choosing to roll into their blockchain is completely unparalleled. It's almost like literally looking at a helix model of having 3 chains doing different things to serve the overall blockchain. I was fascinated by that. I think that it is the most innovative project out there, but you cannot deny what Yuga Labs has done with Bored Ape Yacht Club. They're creating not only value for the people that own Bored Apes and Mutant Apes and Bored Ape Kennel Club, but they are effectively ingraining themselves in modern culture in a way that no other NFT project has done, except for maybe Artifact. Because again, having gotten just acquired by Nike is no small feat, pun intended. But let's get into the winner of this year's Project of the Year award for CC Live, and that is in a absolute stunner, OpenSea, taking home 15% of the recorded votes. Everything about this, guys, it felt bad to me. I'm like, this is the one time that like I'm in a Kanye OpenSea's award because guys, everyone hates OpenSea right now. They hate them ethically from a just across the board user experience standpoint. They hate OpenSea. So like I got to give it up for my girl Yuga Labs, right? Like she is clearly the one that needed to be the award winner this year, but I have to respect the voters of OpenSea and make sure that they know they won this award. Any final thoughts on Project of the Year before I walk off stage and get a pair of Yeezys?
Hey, haters gonna hate. OpenSea got to give respect where it's due. What they've been able to accomplish volume wise is unbelievable. We report on OpenSea all the time about the type of volumes that they've been able to do each month, each quarter, each year. Like this has been an insane year of growth for OpenSea, and shout out to them. They like even though they've done a lot of messed up stuff, you can't deny the numbers they put up. So like if you're just going straight up by numbers, I get why OpenSea won.
Yeah, Nate Chastain, that's looking at you. Chris, any thoughts on OpenSea before we go forward?
No, I think y'all covered it. And honestly, it makes a little sense to me, right? Like as much as Yuga has done, at the end of the day, OpenSea's the easiest way to, transact NFTs. So it does make sense. And it also, the company behind the project aside, the project itself has done wonders for NFTs in particular in the crypto space.
The last thing that I will add on this one is this was one of the closest margins of victory. I think they actually took it by literally one vote. So again, hats off to anybody else that was contending in this category. I can tell you from review of the data that Hedera contended heavily. I believe Helium contended very, very closely, and Yuga Labs, I believe, was fourth. So very, very interesting stuff here in the project of the year. But congratulations to OpenSea, and again, not to play down what they've done, they are creating the narrative for what NFT exchanges are going to be in the future, whether they're the leader for long or not. So, hats off to you, OpenSea, Cryptocurrent Live award winner for Project of the Year. Our next category is an absolute team favorite, and that is the biggest L of the year, um, otherwise known as the FML category. So, we had four fantastic nominees for this as we went into voting. First of which was none other than the individual who sold their Bored Ape for 0.75 ETH in recent weeks um, because they didn't understand how to move a decimal point. Then you had those who did not sell Dogecoin before Elon appeared on Saturday Night Live. The one that I'm least excited about in this category is Steve and Chris missing the boat on Spell Token after we covered it in a cryptocurrent live stream about 2 months ago, 3 months ago now, before it went on its incredible tear. And then last but not least, we also had the Squid Game token rug pull nominated. But as with most of our categories here, we had some write ins and honorable mentions to give. First, of course, surprising, I don't think so. Not buying Mongoose coin. That was truly an L on the year. Craig Wright getting off with a minimal charge as opposed to being charged with the crimes that he actually committed. Ethereum gas fee record blowing past 1,000 Gwei. And then, of course, Chris's favorite, Crypto Chads getting dunked on by Reddit furries. Guys, I love this category. I love this category a lot. Chris, was that you that wrote in Crypto Chads getting dunked on by Reddit's furries, or was that not you?
That wasn't me. I actually voted for the Bored Ape misclick or mistype. But shout out to whoever did that because I pined very hard to get that included as a nominee because it was a hilarious social media exchange.
Yeah, it was a trip. Richard, did you try to troll Chris and I by voting for Steve and Chris missed the boat on Spell Token, or did you have a different opinion?
As funny as that was and is, I actually took a different approach. Because I was telling y'all about this really cool show I watched called Squid Games, and how I binge watched this as one of the first shows I've binge watched in a very long time because I thought it was that good. So of course, getting on this hype, all these people seeing all this, they're like, "Oh, let's just create a token," and all these people came in and just threw money at it, and it rug pulled. You want to talk about an L? You want to talk about the quickest way in crypto to ape into something and then catch the L for not doing it. That was it. So that got my vote.
Well, it should come as very little surprise. But your winner for the biggest L of this year is in fact the Squid Game token rug pull, taking home a staggering 41% of the recorded votes. I'm going to speed things along here and get us into our next category, guys. But what I will tell you is if you are a listener of this show and you want to understand a little bit more about the Game token rug pull and why it was such a big deal, all you have to do is search YouTube and look for the video where the guy is reacting to being rug pulled with the Squid Game token. Our next category is the best non fungible friends. These, of course, are individuals who we saw as the people who were massive catalysts for the NFT space on the year. The NFT space, of course, gained tremendous notoriety across the year. And these people are in large part um, at least due some respect for what they've contributed. Your nominees were Gary Vaynerchuk, Beeple, Xcopy, Fuocious, People Pleaser, and Cosmo de Medici, aka maybe potentially Snoop Dogg. Guys, who do you have as your best not fungible friend, and do you think that we may ever have them on the show?
With enough persistence, I think we have a shot. But hey, one can dream. And speaking to everyone on this list for sure. To me, it came down to two people: is Gary Vaynerchuk or Beeple. Beeple, of course, has like the most expensive NFT ever sold. Shout out to him and whoever bought that for having that kind of bread. Cool, cool on you. And then Gary V would just, the amount of I spoke about him earlier. I will continue to speak about him. He's definitely a really good advocate for the world of crypto, and he's creating value and helping other people create value with their own potential NFTs. So Gary Vee has gotten my pick.
Chris, what do you think?
So I went with the other one, and I actually went with Beeple. Um, Interestingly enough, it's actually more of him as an artist, and I thought it was cool. I looked into kind of his portfolio, his social media presence, and interestingly enough, and I learned this recently, he has like committed and stuck to he makes like a new design or piece of art every single day and uploads it. And to me, that's just a incredible work ethic. Like that is a grind I could never imagine. But B, it also just kind of keeps him relevant as an artist outside of NFTs. And I think that's something that NFT artists and aspiring NFT artists should keep in mind, right? Like it's all well and good if you have the coolest work in the world, but if you're not putting out new content for people to discover you by or appreciate, you're going to fall off eventually. And people's hustle just kind of inspired me. I couldn't not vote for him.
Yeah, I mean, look, it's pretty hard to not think to yourself, it's got to be Gary Vee or Beeple, right? But I want to take at least 1 second to acknowledge all of these other people in this category because you have Xcopy, who sold the second most expensive piece behind Beeple. And by the way, also the fourth, sixth, and seventh most expensive pieces behind Beeple. This guy like is seen as a pioneer in the crypto art space, and his pieces are, or sorry, their pieces, because we don't know if it's a man or a woman or a they, their pieces are going to be immortalized in this space well into the future. Fuocious, phenomenal artist, is a teenager. Let's take a second to acknowledge that he's a teenager. Okay, we're not even likely seeing what this kid's potential is yet, and he's already one of the leaders in this space. People pleaser, made it into Forbes 30 under 30 this year, is the founder behind the I think it's the People Pleaser DAO or the Pleaser DAO, and also is a phenomenal artist in her own right and an advocate for the space. Cosmo de Medici, whether you are Snoop Dogg or not, Cosmo de Medici, you have one of the most phenomenal portfolios in the space, and you are advocating for it constantly. These are all phenomenal influencers in the space. The one that I wish made the list, and I'll be honest with you guys, I'm kind of sad that we didn't have him on the list, is Punk6529. Punk6529, for those that don't know, need to go look him up on Twitter and refer to his threads. 6529 has some of the most educational and inspiring threads in the space, especially regarding non fungibles. But enough of that. Let's see who won. Drumroll, please. Your winner for the CC Live Award for Best Non Fungible Friend is not a friend, but friends. We had an absolute tie with 50% of the recorded votes being split between Beeple and Gary V. So, congratulations, Beeple and Gary V. We will try to split this award in half so that it, at the very least, is shared, right? I'm not sure we can make two. I mean, I guess you can fractionalize NFTs now, right?
You could fractionalize.
Perfect. Well, let's move into our next category, the person of the year. I am really quite frankly excited for this, but I want to know who you guys had as front runners before we unveil who took home the award for person of the year.
For me, it was Danielle with Avalanche. Um, and man, just straight up, Anthony Pomp's been an advocate in the space for a long time, and it's cool to see, how much uh, more his voice has weight in the space right now. So those are my two.
Chris, what do you have?
So for me, again, I was between Daniela with Avalanche, but also Melten, Demeror. Again, no idea how to pronounce her name. I'm sorry if you see this, but here we are, anyways. And I actually ended up going with her just because I did that series of videos about the CNN article, which was trying to answer, 11 basic questions in cryptocurrency, and she was actually one of the experts they brought in. And so I had to give her the nod because CNN has been far from friendly, I'd say, to crypto in general. And she just gave great answers, was a great representative of the community as a whole. And hats off to her because crypto could use a lot more, well spoken allies.
Yep. And look, I think that while we really want her to be on the show, you butchering her name is probably going to tank any chance of that. But Meltem Demirs, please forgive Chris for not knowing how to pronounce your name. My pick, guys, was really simple. I ended up going with Senator Cynthia Loomis. I think that she is the greatest advocate for crypto that we have in the United States Congress. Rep from Wyoming, she's doing tremendous things, made it so that DAOs are the officially recognized as a business structure in the state of Wyoming. And it's the first state to do that. So I have to give the tip of the cap to her on that. But we had other fantastic people of the year nominated this year, um, especially just acknowledging where they're coming from. Raul Paul was not was is the founder and CEO of Real Vision, who's doing a ton of educational content around crypto. Aya Miyaguchi, for those that do not know, is the executive director of the Ethereum Foundation, who is basically um, paving the way for us to arrive at Ethereum 2.0 on time. And of course, Daniela Sesta, who is behind Popsicle Finance, Spell Token, Magical Internet Money, Wonderland Finance, like 15 other projects, and potentially soon Sushi Swap, and making them a multi chain project that actually has a decent vision. But without further ado, Cryptocurrent Live's person of the year is not a person, it is persons, tied with 25% of the recorded votes. Person of the year went to Daniele Sesta and Raul Paul. Guys, break this down for me. Does this make sense to you? Because altogether, again, all these people totally deserved it.
Yeah, I mean, at the end of the day, the crowd has spoken. Both are very deserving of this award. It's very interesting. Like, and again, we had a lot of people that ended up doing this vote, and the fact that we landed directly square in the middle. Obviously, we could be biased and pick one as a team, but we decided that we let the people speak, and if the people say that two people won, two people won. So, congrats to both of you, and yeah.
Chris, any final thoughts?
I think Richard hit it perfectly.
Awesome. Well, Richard, because you're so good at hitting it perfectly, we're going to carry this thing forward. Let's get into my favorite category, crypto enemy number one. Your nominees, of course, were Elon Musk, the troll of trolls, Senator Elizabeth Karen Warren, Representative Brad Sherman, the troll and slash elf of the U.S. House of Representatives, Peter Schiff, who believes that gold is the only option, Charlie Munger and Warren Buffett, who are not sure where they are half the time, and last but not least, Gary Gensler, the marshmallow, as I called him on a prior episode, of the SEC. Guys, talk to me about this one. Chris, you know that all these people are actively campaigning to be the villain of crypto. What do you make of it all?
Well, it interestingly enough, I'd say they all have something in common. I feel like we could split them almost into thirds, where you have Sherman and Karen are kind of in their own third. You have Peter Schiff, as well as Warren Buffett and his GIMP are also in their own third. And then you have Elon Musk and Gary are kind of off in their own world, I guess. But for me, the dead winner, probably interestingly enough, not Brad Sherman, but Senator Karen, because and I voted for her mainly because I think she has a more public persona. She's a lot of people that are going to blindly listen to her and follow anything she has to say. So I had to go with her, but God, these people just they're so anti crypto that it's not even ignorance at this point. They're actively trying to be ignorant, and it is just weird to see unfold. And these are just not people you want to. They're not people that you want to maintain their influence they currently have in the sphere in any way. That's how I'll leave it.
I mean, look, Senator Elizabeth Warren is clearly the incompetent person's Hillary Clinton, and I like going forward will always view her as Senator Karen. She's made that mark on me. It's indelible. Rich, what do you think? Is there anyone that stood out in particular to you?
You know, it's a 2 for 1 on this one. It's, Charlie and Warren, since they're on the same ballot. But for me, more than anything, it's Warren Buffett. Like, the amount of money this man could have made had he had the insight to see that, 1, the crypto's valid, Bitcoin is here to stay. Um, it would have also opened the floodgates for institutional players to wanna get in sooner, and there's definitely a resistance to not getting into crypto because of it. And yeah, I just the reason I'm just putting it as this is crypto is inevitable, and the path to mass adoption, when I look at all these, different nominees as we look at mass adoption, that's how I kind of landed on this is that like I feel like he has helped prevent mass adoption happening sooner. And like with the flip of a switch, if all of a sudden he said, actually, I'm going to get into this thing now, it would open the floodgates a lot faster. So that's why I went with that choice.
Yeah, look, I think that all of them have a case. I mean, Gary Smeagol Ginsler has a special place under the bridge to me. I really do believe that Gary is just vying for his seat as Secretary of the Treasury in the future. I think that's the only reason he's doing what he's doing. But to me, I can't help but avoid voting for Peter Schiff because his son has out earned him this year because he's believed in crypto the entire time. Um, so to me, I think that Chris is dead on. But let's go ahead and reveal who crypto enemy number one is according to the fans, because who cares about what we say? The fans voted and they've decided that the award for crypto enemy number one this year belongs to none other than Senator Elizabeth Warren. This was a landslide vote, guys. And honestly, I really liked that picture when it was a lot smaller on screen.
Yeah, she's really given me Emperor Palpatine vibes there. Like I think she's just about to throw a bunch of chairs at Yoda or any other short member of the United States legislative body, as well as maybe sprinkle a little lightning out of the tips of her properly manicured fingers.
Chris, you always keep it fresh, man. Richard, any
That's what
final
I'm here
thoughts
for.
on Senator Karen before we carry on?
On to the next.
All right. The next category is our off the chain moment of the year. We had a couple really great things happen in crypto this year, and by couple, I mean dozens, but we brought it back to three. You, of course, had the three crypto YouTubers who all managed to surpass 1 million subscribers this year. Coin Bureau being the biggest of them, which is now up at 1.75 million subs. Then you have Altcoin Daily and BitBoy. Then you have the moment where an individual reflected back on his Shiba Inu portfolio, discovering that his $8,000 investment that he made a couple years back is now worth $5 billion. Then you have Crypto.com and FTX securing the naming rights to two arenas, first of which being the Staples Center for Crypto.com and then the Miami Heat's arena in South Beach, Miami for FTX. You had Michael Saylor buying what I call all of the Bitcoin. Max Kaiser yelling out at Bitcoin 2021 on stage, "I'm not effing selling." And then El Salvador making Bitcoin legal tender. Any thoughts on this category, guys, before we announce the winner of the off the chain moment of the year?
All of these are pretty crucial moments of the year. I think El Salvador, in my head, is the clear winner because it's a huge step for crypto. But man, the amount of money Crypto.com and FTX is putting into sports, which, as everyone knows, everyone watches sports, and if you constantly see something over and over again, you start to get curious of what is that. And so, just literally by having their brands in front of a lot of the eyes across not just the US but the world, it's going to bring more curiosity towards crypto and people want to find a way. So I think that's huge. And then of course, man, could you imagine just just imagine this. You invested $8,000 and 1 year later you're a billionaire. Like you could pitch that story to a Hollywood director and no one would buy it. But this happened in real life. It's unreal. And that's crypto for you. That's why crypto's out here changing lives.
Yeah, it's
Oh
wild.
yeah, that's the exact reason I voted for Shiba as the shitcoin of the year. Was if that doesn't summarize how ridiculous shitcoins can be in terms of their value changing for no reason, I don't know what else does. Shout out to that guy because he had all of the media coverage in the world about how he made essentially the greatest single trade of all time. So insane. But just to put in, so that's actually what I voted for. But to put in perspective, my number two would probably be the crypto YouTubers surpassing 1 million subscribers. And to just put this in perspective, right? I'd looked this up recently. There are about 37 million total YouTube channels. Of those, only 22,000 have at least 1 million subscribers. So that is 500ths approximately of a percent of all YouTube channels have hit that mark. So that's an incredible accomplishment, but also for them to be the first three in the crypto space to do it, which has been heavily kind of censored or anti-algorithmed to some degree on pretty much all platforms is incredibly impressive.
I mean, look, you can't forget that, right? I mean, crypto is still being suppressed. It does not matter whether it's on YouTube, in the media, or just in search engines, right? It's constantly being suppressed. And the fact that you have three breakout influencers conquering that is huge. But there are going to be more. I think it's a really important thing to note. What I will say is that my vote this year was really, really simple. And that's because crypto.com and FTX have effectively made their way into the pop culture zeitgeist. That is so crucial for this industry going forward. And the fact that nobody stood in their way in terms of taking arena naming rights, it's going to be huge for us going forward. But let's reveal who won the off the chain moment of the year for the Cryptocurrent Live Awards. Your winner was, in a very chispas moment, Felicidades, El Salvador. Congratulations on being the off the chain moment of the year for making Bitcoin legal tender. And of course, sealing 43% of recorded votes. Your close second was, in fact, the Shiba Inu moment that we featured just a moment ago. But honest to God, Nayib Bukele, like, seriously, this is insane news. The fact that this happened during Bitcoin 2021, the fact that I managed to get it out within the first 5 minutes of it actually happening in terms of like our Twitter. Quick shameless plug, please follow out Cryptocurrent. We like to break news as it's happening. Boom. What do you guys think? Is this the right winner? Because in my opinion, there really was like no question.
Yes. Put it on the map. And you want to talk about like basically what Jack Dorsey said? Like this is the first step. It
Yeah.
is.
Yep, it really is. There's no question to that. I think that we're only a few months away from hearing another announcement of this ilk. But let's close things out for this year's Cryptocurrent Live Awards. Guys, it's been so much fun doing this award show with you. I really appreciate it. And to those of you that are listening, not just on the YouTube channel right now as we're doing this live, but to those of you that are listening on the recast, thank you for joining us for this. It's been a pleasure. It's been an honor. We're into our last category. That is the Cryptocurrent Interview of the Year. These are some of our audience's favorite interviews that we have done across the year, featuring the likes of Eric Voorhees from Shapeshift, Dr. Lehman Baird from Hedera, Brett King, who is otherwise known as the godfather of fintech, the author of The Rise of Technosocialism, BitBoy Crypto himself, Ben Armstrong, Erica Gemma, otherwise known as Bank of Erica on all social media platforms. Zeneca33, aka Roy, who joined us on a Cryptocurrent Live, the very first interview we've ever done live. Joe Rabin from Mandala Exchange. Mark Anstead, friend of the show, from Numio. Julian Sawyer from Bitstamp. And the illustrious Ken Bozak on NFTs and the future of crypto, which we did, just making sure that everybody remembers this, in a Porsche that was turned into an NFT. Incredible memory there. I will
Sold for
never
over
forget.
$1 million.
Yep, that Porsche sold for over $1 million as an NFT at auction. Crazy stuff. Richard, I'm not going to ask you because you're biased.
Very.
Chris, did any of these stand out to you?
Yeah, so I actually think I was stuck between two, and I honestly don't remember which I voted for. But first up, Joe Rabin. That was a really cool interview, but more so, what Mandala Exchange is doing is incredible. Um, I don't want to get too much into it now, but definitely go check out not only that interview, but also just look into the exchange itself. It's really cool. And honestly, I would not be surprised if, we hear more about them in mainstream, kind of media within crypto, at least, coming up soon. And then obviously the other one I thought about was Dr. Lehman Baird, because what Hedera has done is equally as impressive, if not more so. So just two awesome, awesome interviews. I love both. And also, major shout out to the Hedera community. You guys came out in force to vote on this, and also gave a lot of love when we first aired that interview. So, shout out to you guys. Thanks for being such great supporters, active members of the show. And hopefully, we'll have Lehman on again eventually when he's not, busy changing the world.
Yeah, if that ever really, comes to pass in terms of him not being busy. Um, I will tell you guys, like, to me, we've had a lot of really incredible stuff happen over here at Cryptocurrent across the year. We were fortunate to just get done reviewing those internally. And we're really proud of the content that we put out this year. So, um, to say that any one of these could be the top is an understatement. There's a lot of other great people that should be in this list, but we strictly followed the data. We looked at the actual viewership, the listenership, and also the commentary. We went via the analytics to pick out these 10 nominees. So big hats off to everybody who came on Cryptocurrent this year. We appreciate you. Um, my one comment that I will give is to two in particular. I am not going to reveal who I voted for. First of which, Mark Anstead. What Numio is doing in terms of providing a wallet that is easily accessing ZK rollups is absolutely groundbreaking. So big hats off to him and the team over at Numio. I'm a huge fan of their tech. I think that interview was very enlightening, and you should all go back and listen to it. And then I really do want to take a second and give a tip of the cap to Erica Gemma. Um, she is representing our space in so many incredible ways, but especially as a female influencer in the space, we need more. We need more women in this space. And if you are a female influencer or a female founder or a female innovator in crypto, we would love to have you on the show. We want to feature more female voices and continue to give equitable representation. So, a huge tip of the cap to you, Erica. I love what you have to say. And honestly, getting a chance to sit down with her at Miami Crypto Experience was incredible. She's brilliant.
Definitely.
But
Real
without,
quick,
yeah,
before you announce it, and I just want to speak to the rest that are on here. And of course, I am biased to everyone that I interviewed because I think you're all absolutely incredible. I just want to shout out the rest of the people that they just didn't mention. So, of course, Eric Voorhees. What was cool about that interview was that he literally announced his DAO on our show. So he's one of the very first crypto companies to establish a DAO, and that was breaking news when it came on the show. And what they're doing over at ShapeShift is incredible. Shout out to Brett King, who has had multiple books, but just announced his latest book, which is really cool and talks about the future of what we're heading to, right? And it was just a really, really interesting conversation. I think anybody can get a lot of value out of. Shout out to Ben Armstrong. Appreciate him coming on the show. He came on. We had a really fun conversation. Then we got to go meet him in real life at the Miami Crypto Experience, which was also a really cool experience in itself. And then I'm also going to speak to Julian Sawyer, who is the brand new CEO of Bitstamp. Had a really awesome interview with him. He's coming with a lot of experience and really shaking up one of the oldest, if not the oldest, exchanges in the crypto space as it relates to everything happening on in crypto. So again, so many amazing things that have happened this year. I appreciate all of the interviews that we've had. I think we've had close to over 100 this year, and I think we're on track to do even more next year. So I really, really appreciate all the love and support that not only the people who come on our show that you're a part of this, but also all of our listeners throughout the year. Thank you so much for being a part of this. It's been really exciting to be able to do all these awards, and I'll let Steve take it from here to announce the winner.
All right. Well, and you're right. We have 104 scheduled for next year. 2022 is going to be busy. The winner of this year's first CC interview of the year is Dr. Lehman Baird from Hedera Hashgraph. Hashgraph community, you came out. We forerun it at the very beginning of the show. Chris mentioned it as well. The power of this community is something not to be trifled with. Let me tell you that much. I have nothing but endless respect, love, and support for you. We are all Hedera fans around here, and we really do hope to see a lot of really exciting stuff out of Hedera in the near future.